Okay.
All right. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Teton County Library Board this Thursday, August 20th, 2026. We have a quorum. Myself, Mary Lee White, Elizabeth Rohrbach, Peg Gilday, Travis Ward, and I thought Miles was going to be here, but it doesn't.
Yep, he's here.
Oh, and Miles
Yeah,
Jasley.
I'm with kids, but I'll be on audio.
Oh, right. Okay. Hi, Miles. Um, we also have staff, Kip, Stella, and Lindsay in attendance. Um, we have a quorum. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I so moved.
Thank you, Peggy. A second. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll take that as a motion that has been approved. And next on our agenda, there's no public comment,
No,
no,
nobody online and no correspondence.
no correspondence. All right, let's go ahead with our financial information. I assume everyone read the staff report. Are there any questions for Stella?
I don't have questions. There's a ton of confusing information. I know it's not your issue, but I'm having a hard time tracking. I have to be really honest. Elizabeth, as a treasurer, you might feel the same. I just need to state it because it's very confusing.
And maybe Stella, you could reorient us a little bit as to, especially with Travis, just kind of where we are right now, how we're still behind. I don't know. I'd appreciate that.
So I guess, Peg, maybe if you could please expand on what you mean by tracking, first of all, so I can kind of orient myself on terms of what I need to explain to you all, and then I'm happy to explain my report.
Yeah, for example, it looks like they've tried to the county is trying to clean up things for year end, and it says that we're like a little over 100%, which would make sense of our budget through year end of last year. But then at the bottom it says 89%. And so I'm just still finding mostly having to do with the county reports and balancing things out. It's still not cleaned up, and maybe that doesn't happen until it's audited, but that's just me. For me, numbers are pretty straightforward and they should add up. So I'm a little confused. I have been for a while, and I know we've been delayed with the information, and then when we get it, I'm expecting it to be cleaned up, and to me it looks like things are still a little cattywampus, and maybe you can tell me that I'm looking at it incorrectly. You let me know.
So I based upon years previous, since we've now been with the county for 4 years of their accounting process, and then just also I was looking back in with the county for staff, we have a SharePoint. So kind of like an intranet that we use to, and that's where I go to pull the documents. And so I was looking at previous years, and in terms of the revenue report, last year, the revenue report from the treasurer's office was not released until November or October. And I do know that the county does their auditing process, and in the past years, they haven't been done until October. And so I think that's why we don't see the October documentation until November, because of course there's always that month end. And I did go back and look, and for sure last year the revenue reports were not released until October. So I'm guessing that's probably what's going to happen this fiscal year. Although we're not like actually told when they enter the audit process. I don't know like when they actually start, like their start date or anything like that. So what I did is when we first went to county accounting, I was shown a couple of reports, one which was called a detailed expenditure report, and I used to provide that to the board. But what that does is that lists like every little item. And at some point, the board at that time told me, hey, this is like too, we just want the bird's eye view. And that's when I found out that there was the expenditure and appropriations report, which at that time the board was much more happy with because it gave just that bird's eye view. Okay, how much did we spend last month? Where are we at year total percentage, and what is the budget for that fiscal year? So I stopped giving the detailed expense report, but also at some point I found out that the clerk's office does release a detailed revenue report. And so because we don't have the revenue report you usually see from the treasurer's office, that's what I went ahead and added into my financial narrative, just to give you some perspective of what revenue we accrued last month. So it's not showing like our year total, but it's just showing for last month. But then within that, I did make a note that there was, when I was looking at the detailed revenue report, there were three items, and I'm forgetting which category it is now. Under miscellaneous revenue, where I was like, this doesn't look like anything that we would have received. And it was related to a personnel thing. And so I asked Kip if he knew anything about it. He didn't. So then I reached out to the clerk's and treasurer's office, and sure enough, it is a mistake. It was accidentally attributed to the library, so that will be backed out. So what I'm trying to also in my report emphasize is that this is giving you some information. It's coming from the clerk's office. It's not coming from the treasurer's office. So I really want us to ultimately rely on the treasurer's revenue report. But going forward, if I see that we're not getting that treasurer's report each month, then I'll keep doing this during that interim period until we start to see the treasurer's report, so that at least you all have some idea of what revenue was coming into the library for the previous month. If that works for you all, because I'm just trying to get you something that is official but semi-official. So if that works for you, that's how I'll pursue the next couple months.
I think we all trust that you're doing the best you can with the timing of the information, and maybe this should be maybe a separate offline conversation about specifics. I'm looking at expenditures and appropriations, and it says total, year is 100% used, 100% plus, and in the bottom it says it's 85% plus. It's like these funny little things, and I think my question is probably related to how this board, we don't necessarily approve these. These are for informational purposes only. And I just want to be clear that some things for me, I struggle with, and I'm pretty decent with accounting procedures. So, I know you're doing the best you can. And I appreciate, Stella, that you're putting things in a manner that isn't overwhelming to us. But yes, I just want to put that out there that maybe, I don't know if it ever gets cleaned up, or just doing the best we can for this board to make prudent decisions, as in our fiduciary responsibility to this board.
And I'm sorry, I was just I'm assuming you're looking at the June report, and I just realized I only have the July report in front of me.
I'm looking at July. It says July 16th, and at the top of it, it says year is 100.27% used, description of month ending 6/30. And I scroll through, I'm trying to get a sense of what's happening. And then it says percent used 85% on the bottom of the report. And so that maybe I don't understand what this report is communicating.
Yep. I'm very sorry. For some reason, I don't have that report in front of me. So if I can just print it out real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or could I jump in?
File.
Because I think I can explain that, because Peg, there's a discrepancy also in the July. And so if you look at that one, Stella, and this is, I'll share my assumption with you, and like Peg said, maybe I've misunderstood this whole time. So this is great to clarify. So looking at the 2026-07 expenditure appropriations, it says at the very top the year is 8.22% used. So I've always assumed that that means like that's how far we are in the year. And so the goal is to match 8.22% in the far right column. And I look at those percentages as either we're over the 8.22 or we're under the 8.22. Does that make sense? And
It
then when
does.
we scroll to the
Um,
bottom, it's 10.96, meaning we're a little bit over our expenditures.
That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that. For me, though, if you're at a year end and it's a 15% delta, maybe that's what happens in the audit is that gets cleaned up or just the delay in information from the county.
Yep. So my understanding is the top is where we're at overall. Sorry, the top where it says yours 8.22% used, but I do understand the confusion if you go to the last page where at the bottom total it does say percentage used is 10.96. I can reach out to the clerks who generated this and ask for clarification. Um, one thing I did make mention of in my report is that because for month ending July, so in July, we're also getting invoices that were for June, and that happens every fiscal year. So with the vouchers, what we do, what we're required to do by the county is to note on the vouchers in July whether a line item is to be paid out of fiscal 26 or in this case fiscal 27. And so I do know, and I verified this with Jason, the clerk who processes our vouchers for us yesterday, that in the report that you're looking for month ending July 31st, that some of those amounts you're seeing are indeed those expenditures that were actually for fiscal 26. So when the auditing process is done, those amounts will be backed out. But until that happens, it still looks like we're maybe a little bit over, not over, but we're more spent for fiscal 27 than what we are actually. And in a case like that, an example is the janitorial for Jackson and Alta. Both of those payments for July are actually the June premier invoices. So really, in theory, that should be zero up until we submit the vouchers later today, and then that amount will change. I don't know if that clarifies anything a little bit.
I would add just one little thing. If you're looking at the one that's June ending, June 30th, it shows the capital reserve fund as being over by 203%. And that's an accounting issue that Stella explained, I believe, last week about how they're now recording our capital expenditures. So we're not really over in capital reserve funds by $52,000. That'll be an accounting correction, a journal entry change to move that 51,000 in the hole over to the capital reserve fund.
Okay, I have a question too about the current budget for 27. So I'm assuming, I think Stella just answered my question, but in the line item media, we went over last year. We went over by, well, we had our ending budget was 133% for media. This year we've budgeted more money, and but already we've spent $10,901.82. So we're already at 37.94% used. And so I'm assuming that those are 2026 payments that have fallen into our 2027 budget.
We transfer funds to the state library to pay bills as they come in. So that's a transfer to the state. We haven't really spent it It's just we move that money from our budget to the state's account, and then they will pay the bills down.
Okay, got
So
it. So that is real that that gets done right at the beginning of the fiscal year.
yeah, there's probably a large chunk that was in books as well. That looks like
Yeah.
we've spent quite a bit in books.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep, we try to transfer quarterly. I mean, we could transfer monthly if we wanted to, but why?
I have one other just kind of really high level question, just out of curiosity. So why does the clerk's office have a library accounting and the treasurer's office also has library accounting? Like, why do both of those offices deal with budgets?
One deals specifically with expenses, and one deals explicitly or exclusively with revenue. And it's an odd setup, I would have to say. There's not a lot of conversation between the two. So when it comes time for budgeting, it's kind of strange. Um, it's just how things are set up by law under Wyoming statutes.
Huh, okay, thank you. All right, any more questions?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to get back to you all on a question that came up last month. And as soon as I got done writing my report, I realized I forgot to make note of this. So I believe it was Elizabeth who asked last month, or not, I guess it might have been last week. Sorry, last week, about why the line item for building maintenance increased from fiscal 26 to fiscal 27. So I did go back and look at it. It was an increase of $3,300. And I believe, so one thing that we do is we
I'm gonna
do
send you the
factor
link
in for
in
inflation
Teams.
increases
Okay.
across
You
the
want me to go to my
board.
office?
And then I know that Rick sometimes tries to add a
Look
little
in
bit of
Teams, Rick.
contingency because you just don't know what's going to happen with the facility. So that's pretty much explains why there was that increase from between the two fiscal years.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So I guess we'll go ahead and move to consideration of payment of library vouchers. Elizabeth, did you you did the voucher?
I did. I
Would you
did.
would you like to make that motion?
Yes. Let's see if I need to combine the two. Let's see. Um, I move to approve the payment of library vouchers in the amount of $77,529.06.
Is there a second? Miles, would you like to second that? I'll
Yes,
second.
I would love the second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to the trash enclosure repair staff report. Is someone available to give that staff report?
Yes, he's logging in right now.
Okay.
And Rick is on. He's probably muted, so.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I thought it was at 9:30. But also had some trouble logging on. Are you ready for the report on the trash enclosure?
Yes,
We
please.
are.
Okay. So the this staff report is to award the trash enclosure repair to Butte West, totaling $11,739 for the repair of the metal and replacement of the doors. There was a support post that was damaged and knocked down, so we need to modify and reinstall. Part of the problem is that the doors are really over-engineered and extremely heavy, and this causes problems with usage and maintenance. The scope of this proposed repair enclosed it's replacing the or fixing the main post that holds the doors, but then also fabricating doors that are much lighter and easier to operate. Um, the I will handle the project management, and we have $15,000 allocated in our capital reserve um, for the um trash enclosure repairs already. And so we will use that 11,739, but then we'll also need to have some carpentry work done and some painting done to finish the project. I'm waiting on that number, but I believe we'll be very close to our $15,000 budget when we get that. So my recommendation is that that Butte West is a trusted, capable contractor. We've worked with in the past and have been very good to us and very affordable. So my suggested motion is to approve the contract to Butte West for the repair of the trash enclosure in the amount of $11,739 allocated from money for the trash enclosure repair of Capital Reserve Fund.
All right, thank you, Rick. So I so move what Rick just said, to award the contract to Butte West for the repair of the trash enclosure in the amount of 11,739, but up to, with some future additions, up to 15,000. And it'll come from the library's capital reserve fund. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Peg. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I just want to remind
Aye.
everybody. Oh, okay. I take it the motion passed. We'll call it good. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't posted your hours, your board meeting hours to Volgistics, to please do that. And I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
Thank you, Peg and Elizabeth, for the second. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Can I make just one note that the agenda was composed, written before we set the meeting schedule, so it still says 9:30 for September, but it is 9:00 a.m.
Okay, and I just want to also remind you that I won't be in attendance in September.
I will not either. I will be in Montgomery, Alabama for a conference.
And I know I emailed you all. I likely won't be in attendance in October, and I know that Mary Lee and Travis will. I'm not sure if I heard from anyone else.
Yeah, we need one other board member to have a quorum. Peg, are
I
you?
could definitely be there online. I most likely will be there in person. So yes, you can
Great.
count on me on October
Thank you.
October
Okay.
meeting. I'm not sure about the vouchers. That's the
Yeah,
only-
so Miles, maybe September, I can show you how to do the vouchers, and then maybe you could do them for October. We'll cross that bridge.
Okay. I'll be out of town during because that's a virtual meeting in September, correct?
Yes.
So I'll be out of town during that
Okay.
time. But I really think October onwards, I will have a lot more capacity to be in person to see how the vouchers go.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm a little confused, Elizabeth. Do you need someone to do the vouchers in September?
No, I will need someone in October.
In October. And I definitely can do them if Miles can't in October. Okay.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Okay.
All
Can I-
right.
Make one note. Peg, you mentioned you will be here for September. It's actually an online meeting since it's a voucher meeting.
Yeah, got it. I saw that. I will be on that call in September.
Okay.
Okay.
Is everybody, are we all set?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
So,
Rick.
thank you.
Have a
Thank you,
good
Stella,
day.
Lindsay.
Thank you.
Kip.
Bye-bye.
See y'all later.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Bye.
Vas a querer nadar.